we see this utilized all the time because they know the impact of a you focus when they're advertising. All advertising is going to be focused on you. Most of it has nothing to do with a product. It has to do with you, your looks. You're sexy, you're powerful, you're incredible. It has nothing to do with what they're selling you. Have you ever noticed that? We see it all the time, right? So you deserve a break today. McDonald's, right? In America, we have this forest fire, wildfire issue that we deal in the campaign that they've used this. In fact, this is the longest running campaign in American campaigns. And it says only you can prevent forest fires, right? Burger King says, have it your way. So when we see these things, what do we see? I deserve a break today. You see? Only I can prevent forest fires. Okay? Have it my way. You see what they did? They zeroed in on which issue? The I, me, mine. Because the advertisers know that we're very self-centered people. So generally speaking, it's just, unfortunately, it's how it is. That's why it's hard not to be, and it takes intentional drive and pursuit not to be. Okay? So, the idea here is lots of times it focuses on the emotions and not the situation. So in other words, if you were to say, have you ever felt discouraged? Have you ever felt abandoned? Have you ever felt angry? Have you ever felt left out? Have you ever felt put down? Now, when I say that, how many of you have had those kind of feelings? How many of you ever felt any of these kind of feelings? We do. You see? Now, here's what's interesting. So now you're all unified that we've all had those feelings, but all of those feelings were brought up by totally different set of circumstances. So all those circumstances were now brought into one unified union, because everybody said, oh yeah, I know that feeling. It may not have been because why you had that feeling, but I had that feeling. See? And so that's how that works, okay? The cause is different, but the feeling is the same. So we've created a common emotion. Okay, so this is just something that works. Now, how can we make application of this? And let me go through this quickly, okay? Take the last 5 emails, texts, or newsletters, okay? And put a triangle around the I, me, mines. Put a circle around the his, theirs, its. And put a square around the you, your, yours, us, we, ours, those things. Now, if you'll do that, you'll find out how you're communicating to your people. Now, even to this day, because I naturally, when I write a text, send a text or an email or a newsletter, you know, I'll write it out, and after I write it out, I actually go back through this. Okay, I got to get rid of all the I, me, mines. And I want to try to replace them as much as possible with the you, your, yours. See, because that way it's you focused and not me focused. And it's just it's a powerful process to help you better communicate to whoever you're communicating. When you're going to do a message, get your message lined out. Go through this same process. It's very powerful, okay? Go through the last 5 conversations. If you looked at the last 5 conversations you had, was it about I, me, mine? Or was it about you, your, yours? Or we, us, and ours? You see? That's what you want to do. And so this here can be very, very powerful. And this is why many times especially when we get in a crowd of people we don't know, you know, most of us are always thinking, okay, I've got to look right, are my clothes right, is my hair right, and you know, and is everything right? And then am I going to say the right thing, do the right thing, be the right way? Am I going to be interesting? I've got to be interesting to these people. See, if we would focus more on being interested in them rather than me being interesting, everything changes. Here's what I do. See, I'm not really a social person. I mean, I can be social, but, you know, I can be a hermit, right? Close me up, you know, for 3 weeks, I'm happy as a camper, right? I really am. And I really don't like trying to create conversation. I learned a long time ago that if I ask questions, I don't have to say anything. And especially if I ask questions about them. Because people love, that's the one thing they know the best, right? So when I ask questions, what I discovered is they do the talking I don't have to say anything. I walk away and they think I'm extremely interesting and I haven't said a thing. Isn't that interesting? Do you see how that works? Guys, this is a powerful tool as leaders, and especially when you're meeting somebody new that you don't know, or being in a new situation or group or crowd that you don't know. Very powerful. It comes down to questions, okay? Being interested is what deals with questions. Questions say, I'm interested in you. You're important. I value what you have to say. So let's take a look here. Profound questions give you profound answers. If you can learn shallow questions, you get shallow answers. And of course, if you ask no questions, you get no answers. So I learned a long time ago, I developed this habit of collecting questions. And when I hear good questions, and when I read good questions, and I go to a seminar and I hear questions, I write that down. I got a list of 100 questions that help me when I'm in conversations so that I don't have to talk. Okay, and it really is very helpful, okay? So, there's different kinds of questions. There's the who, how, what, why, when, and where questions. And each question, you know, these questions, especially as leaders, if you're in a meeting, a committee of sorts, these are great questions to learn. And if you know which kind of questions to ask, then you know what kind of information you're going to get, okay? How much, commitment, so what, value, okay? So you could just take a picture of this, but this just kind of gives you an idea here of the questions you ask. So take a picture because I'm going to go through, especially these next 3 slides. It's better just to take a photo of this so that you get it down, so that we can go through, because I just want to give you a few of my questions that I just really love, okay? How do you deal, especially when you're talking to leaders, okay? I mean, how do you deal with problems? What inspires you? Some of you have actually heard these questions this weekend. If you think back, what did this ask me? You know, you can hear these questions, okay? What are the obstacles that you face, right? What's missing? Why? What do you need to know in order to do what you got to do? Do you realize what a powerful question that is to your downline? Do you realize how that will cut to the chase? Right to the chase. You're not going to be talking to them about what they don't want to hear. They're only going to be talking about what they do want to hear. Wait till I get to the end before you take your photo. Okay, that'll save you some time. Okay, what do you think my #1 favorite question of all questions that ever was? I ask this question more than any other question that I ask, and especially to my team and my downline. What do you think? Boy, you've been in the company for 36 years. You said, I had questions come to you. I know, but what do you think? What do you think? Well, if your guys asked you that question, what do you think you would tell them? See, I mean, it's a very, very powerful question. It's one of the biggest things we have to do is get our people to think, because leaders think, and they need to learn to think for themselves, okay? So, compared to what? Oh, what a brilliant question. Oh, I'm so poor. Really? Compared to what? The guy living on the street in India? Hey, listen, I make plenty of money already. Really? Compared to what? Bill Gates? And you see what I'm saying? It's a great question. You know, really, it's a great question, okay? So, you know, hey, I'm a great soccer player already. Really? Compared to what? Cristiano Ronaldo? I mean, come on. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, what's your situation? Be careful with that question. You could be there a long time. Okay. So, let's back that up. I'm sorry. Okay. So we get this one? Okay. You got it? Photo, click. Okay. Here we go. So let's go through these, get these up here. These are great. These are some of my favorites. Okay. So what do you mean by that? Oh, isn't that, hey, that Herbalife, it's a scam. Really? What do you mean by that? You know what I've discovered? When I ask that question, most people have no idea. They're just copying and regurgitating what they've heard from somebody else. You know? And by the way, how did you come to that conclusion? They haven't got an idea. You see, it's really interesting, you know. So most people they're just regurgitating stuff they've heard, and they don't really have an opinion for themselves. You know, what are you most proud of? What makes you angry? Do you realize those 2 questions are the same? What are you proud of? And what makes you angry? They're really 2 questions, you know, of the same intent. What you get out of those 2 questions is you understand what people value. Say, what are you proud of? They're going to tell you what's valuable to them. Whatever makes somebody angry is something that goes against their values? So those, if you want to understand somebody's values, those are two great questions. And so make sure you got your photos of this one, and then let's move on. So what I want to talk about now is I want to go through and help you to understand how you can develop your potential. Now, we all have a plan, okay? Listen, the plan's been laid out here. I mean, crystal clear, structured, organized, it's brilliant. The plan is what you plan to be, but your potential is what you could be. And the idea of being here this weekend is to walk away being better, being stronger, being more powerful, being more effective, to be able to make a greater impact. We want to be better than we are right now. We continue to learn. Leaders are learners. Learners are leaders. So we've got to continue the learning process. Okay, we always want to be a student. We want to be a student of life. Okay, it's very powerful and helpful for us. Okay, so how do we develop our personal potential? How can I develop that in my life? Okay, one is I got to understand my uniqueness. When I understand my uniqueness, what makes me different from others, then it really helps me as to how I can contribute, to my community, to my society, to my company, to my country. Okay? In other words, because we each have different gifts and abilities. We each have different backgrounds, experiences, and knowledge, and understanding, and perspectives. Each of us have our own single greatest strength. You see, of all the abilities you have, there's one thing that you're better at than other things. And that single greatest strength is the greatest asset that you have in contributing to the committee, to the community, to the country. Okay? And when you understand what that is, then you know where to really put your effort and how you can contribute. Now, here's what's really interesting. Okay? We have a unique contribution. And I want you to understand how distinctly unique every single person in this room is. Okay? First of all, we all have different backgrounds, experiences, education, places we've been, parents we were raised by, friends we grew up with, and whatever the circumstances of our life. That's obviously unique. It's not the same for everybody, even your brother, your siblings, your brothers and sisters that. Right? It's going to be different. Right? Now, here's what else is very unique. We all understand that we have unique fingerprints, don't we? You know that? Fingerprints? No matter 7 billion people, 7 billion prints. Right? Isn't that interesting? Back in 1986, they discovered something called DNA. See, DNA, listen, they can even dig up graves and get the DNA from people who've been dead for years. And our DNA is distinctly different from every other human being that has ever lived and existed on planet Earth. 7 billion right now, 7 billion different DNA patterns. Now, you know what else is different? Do you know that everybody has an eye print? You know that there's 7 billion different eye prints on planet Earth? Do you know that your voice, even if you have a cold or are sick, that your voice print is distinctly different than every other human being on planet Earth? Okay? It's amazing, isn't it? You know what else is interesting? You may not have known this. Your heartbeat is different. Every single human being on planet Earth has a different heartbeat. Is that radical or what? If they could measure heartbeats of every person on planet Earth, it's different. Do you know that when the baby is formed in the womb, did you know the first thing that's created is the heart? Everything grows out from the heart.